Hi everybody, I'm Zilla Blitz and welcome back to our continued playthrough with Votes for Women, designed by Tory Brown and published by Fort Circle Games. In episode 2, we made good progress, picking up a lot of ground in the Midwest, picking up 8 bellwether states, gaining some ground in the West, and getting half of our congressional support. Things can change quickly in this game though. Let's see how things go as we jump into the mid-game. Let's do a quick recap. In the Northeast, we're looking pretty good. We've got some support in pretty much every state here. The Atlantic and Appalachia region, again, kind of a battleground. We're conceding Kentucky, but we're okay in other places. This is a tough area, and I feel like we're in pretty good shape considering that it's the end of turn 2. Down south, still a battleground. Though I was really happy about picking up Georgia and Texas to get both of the cards there, but as we can see, we've still got some anti-suffrage opposition down in the lower right corner of the United States. Midwest looking pretty good. We'll concede Missouri, but I like that we've got some strength pretty much every place else except for Indiana. Plain states largely undecided. We did pick up Montana as the state card. And the West looking good. We got the Utah state card, and the California state card is the only one that's yet unclaimed, but we do have 3 elements of support there for it. So I'm hopeful one of our goals for this turn is that we can pick this card up and get the California state card. That would be a clean sweep of the state cards, which would be, I've never done that before, so that would be pretty nice to get. National support wise, that's another goal. We've got 3 support here, and before the anti-suffrage movement can erode this national support, I'm thinking we might want to actually make a push for that and look for opportunities to build up national support. It'd be pretty early to get it in turn 3 or turn 4 for me, but I feel like we're in pretty good shape, and that might be nice to start locking in some of these states too. So let's head off into the strategy phase now and do some bidding for a strategy card. For the strategy cards here, I like this Eye on the Future card, which allows us in turn 5 or turn 6, much later in the game, to rifle through the draw deck and pick out one card and then play it for its event immediately. I feel like that's going to be stronger than this Bellwether State card, which really allows us to completely flip an anti-suffrage state into a pro-suffrage state. This is nice, and it might be nice right before we're getting into national support, so this will be more immediately helpful, but I still feel like this one's going to be more powerful. So I think we're going to play for this one. We're going to bid on this one, and once again, we have 5 tokens, so we're going to use the bid 4 strategy, and then maybe, depending on what comes up, we might try to go for the Bellwether one on the next state. So let's see what the AI, the opposition, does here. We're going to roll the 12-sided die, and on a 1, 2, or 3, we win it with 4. On a 4, it's a draw and nobody gets it. That's painful. So we lose all our support tokens. Now the nice thing is we deny them a card too. So we don't give them a card, but that's pretty much a wasted 4 tokens there for us. But yeah, defensive move apparently. And those are going to stay out, so we will think about what we'll bid on turn 4 then. Technically, we should have dealt the cards before we did the strategy bidding, but we'll do it in reverse order. It doesn't really matter here. So we have the Union Victory card left over from the last round, from the last turn. We won't use this anymore because the Civil War card came in and was not in put effect, so we'll use this for something else. We have a Georgia State card left in our arsenal, and now we have 1 button after we lost 4 for bidding there. But let's deal out 6 new suffragist cards, and I think we're going to get to the middle part of the deck here. Right, so we got 1 last early card, and the rest of the 5 cards we drew are all in the middle part of the deck now, so that's good. And a couple of them here just to call attention to. We've got potential to add, 2 cards could add congressional support here. This Jeanette Rankin card is particularly strong. Add 2 support in each state and the Plains region, and 4 in Montana, which would be a really nice one to add there. Southern Strategy too will help us with the South, and Club Movement here gets us 4 buttons, so a lot of fun cards. Helen Keller, I tend to roll really well with Helen Keller. I call her Boxcar Helen because I always get 6s when I roll with her, but we'll see how this works out. And yeah, and we've got our 1 state card left over. So some interesting options here, and I think we have a direct path to picking up California, as well as to build up some buttons. So for these ones here that require a roll, this Jeanette Rankin card requires a roll, we'll have some backup button strength that we can use. So let's jump in here now and play our card and move on to turn 3. As we start out turn 3 here, I think we're going to play the National Women's Rights Convention. Until the Civil War, suffragists gathered annually to celebrate successes, debate strategy, hear speeches, and encourage state and local conventions. Let's see how this might impact us. First up, we're going to add 1 national support to Congress. We go from 3 halfway to 4 national support tokens. We are 2/3 of the way towards national support, but I'm going to talk about this momentarily. Now, the rest of this card allows us to add one cube of support in each of the 6 regions. And the reason I wanted to play that one is because we can immediately go to California, play 1 card out there, which then gets us the California card, which is the 9th of 9 cards. We got all 9 cards in this playthrough, which I think is a pretty helpful position to be in, because that not only do we get the play, the Autobot doesn't get to use those cards either. So let's continue on. We'll probably play this one in this turn, but let's finish our other 6 cubes first. Let's add a token of support to North Dakota. Let's go down in the south here and let's eradicate support in Mississippi for the Autobot. In the Midwest, let's add one to Indiana. In the Atlantic and Appalachia regions, let's add a cube of support to Delaware. And then in the Northeast, let's work towards adding one to Massachusetts. So that gives us our 6 cubes of support, 1 in each region. And now we've got the California card, and I think we're going to play this right away. So the California card says, draw 2 cards from your deck, discard 1, and play the other for its event immediately. So we will put this card out of action. Let's pick up 2 cards and see which ones we are going to play. We get National American Women Suffrage Association and the West's Awakening. Both of these are actually really good cards. The National American Women Suffrage Association allows us to add a purple campaigner in the Atlantic and Appalachia region, which is really good because this campaigner will be available for the rest of the game. The West Awakening, though, look at this, 2 in each state in the West region. That is 16 cubes in the West. That is massive. I really don't want to pick from either one of these. Let's think for a second. As much as I hate to pass up on this incredibly powerful card, I feel like the campaigner so early in the game is going to give us more flexibility. The buttons offset that, and if we, at a 2.5 value, if we campaign, what, 6 times, we'll get roughly to this. So I think we're going to go with this one because of the flexibility that it gives us. So we will discard the West's Awakening, which is a sad card to discard, and we're going to take this one. We're going to add a purple campaigner. Let's do this on the board, actually. So we will add our campaigner to the Atlantic and Appalachia region. That gives us 3 in action now, which is good. And then we get 3 buttons as well, which gives us up to a total of 4 buttons. Buttons are always helpful. Now the Autobot has a special start card for turn 3, round 1, so we don't draw for the deck. Add 1 campaigner in the Northeast region. So we will play that card for the Autobot, and let's put this into play. So we drop our anti-suffrage campaigner in New England. We square off 1-to-1 there. That gives the anti-suffrage movement 2 campaigners and gives us 3 campaigners. That's the end of round 1. Let's go to round 2. We're going to go right to one of our more powerful cards here, the Southern Strategy card, and let's put it right into play. So we're going to get 2 buttons to start off, and this basically says, much of the suffrage movement embodied America's endemic white supremacy, and many white leaders diminished the role and rights of black women to appeal to racist lawmakers. So we are going to take 2 buttons and then add 2 support cubes in each state in the South region. So this is one of those massively powerful cards. Let's add, I'll go through and add these and we'll take a look what it looks like, because 2 support in each state is going to be huge here. We have painted the South purple and gold. Look, we've got 7 in Texas, 6 in Georgia, 4 in Arkansas, almost enough in Louisiana, 2 in Mississippi and Florida, 1 in South Carolina and Alabama. Very powerful card, and it's not done yet. The last part of the Southern Strategy card here says, select and place in front of you 1 available strategy card. I think the 2 best cards that we could pick right now are Eye on the Future here, which was playable in turn 5 or 6. We were bidding on that one this turn. The Bellwether state allows us to completely flip 1 state. This is tempting too, but we're going to take the Eye in the Future card and see what else comes up. So we're going to replace this one with the Winning Plan. Draw 6 cards from your draw deck, play 1 card for its event immediately. Place any number of the remaining 5 cards on top of your draw deck and the rest at the bottom of your draw deck. Oh, this is a nice card, isn't it? Boy, this would be really powerful. So we want that one. But let's put Eye in the Future off to the side. We're going to store that one, and that ends, doesn't quite end our turn because we can play another card. We still have 1 state card we can play as part of our move here. So we're going to play Georgia. Simple card, adds 2 buttons. Buttons, buttons, and that's the end of the state cards. But my goodness, we have a massive pile of buttons now. We are up to 8 buttons. This is great. This will be handy for bidding and everything like that too. So that is really helpful. And we have the club movement here, which allows us to get 4 more. One of the things we can do with these buttons is save them for final voting, so we can re-roll some of those, which could be really helpful. So it's nice to have, we're almost running out of all the buttons in the games here. There's only 4 more in the storage. So buttons are us. Let's go to the Autobot though. Let's see what the Autobot has in store. White supremacy and the suffrage movement. Playable if Southern strategy is in effect. It is. That's the card we just played. So it's one of these permanent changes. We have both the 15th Amendment and Southern strategy in effect. Remove all of the yellow from the 4 states with the most yellow. The suffrage player loses 2 buttons. Oh, there's a nasty card. Okay, and it's not 4 southern states, it's all the 4 states. Ideas of racial domination touched nearly every decision suffrage leaders made, shaped the arguments they delivered, and stained the movement's legacy. Ouch, this is painful. So let's go figure it out where the damage is going to be done. This is again one of the reasons why you want to split up those color cubes and not dominate one color in a state. And so we've done a pretty good job of that. If we look for the ones with the most yellow, Georgia has 3. So that's 1 state. Texas has 3. That is 2 states. Ouch, that's painful. Then we have Illinois, Montana, California, and New Jersey, and Illinois, and Arkansas, and Utah with 2 each. 1, 2, 3. Well, I'll figure out, I think they're all even. I'm just going to do a random determination where to take them away from. So I'll figure that out by a die roll here too. All right, so we had 7 states with 2. Determined that it was Illinois and then Arkansas by random die roll, an 8-sided die, then a 6-sided die. So 4 and 3, 7 and 3, that's 10 cubes that white supremacy and the suffrage movement have wiped out from our cause here. Ouch, that changes the landscape a little bit. All right, let's go to our round 3 here. We're going to play Alice Paul and Lucy Burns. Paul and Burns formed the National Woman's Party, which used militant tactics and racist strategies to win suffrage. Oh, moral conundrum here, but yeah, it's a pretty good card. So we roll 2 6-sided dice to remove that number of anti-suffrage support anywhere on the board, no more than 2 per state. And we have 10 scattered. We could get a potential of 8 here. So let's see what kind of result we get. 2. Okay. We're going to use a button to re-roll that one. That's what we get for doing militant tactics and racist strategies, right? Okay, so we're going to try it again. 7. We'll take that one. We deserve that, I think. Let's go pull the support off. All righty, so we can remove 7 support. Let's clean up South Dakota, Wyoming, that's 3. Tennessee for 4, West Virginia for 5. Let's leave 1 in Missouri and take 2. Actually, let's take the 1 out of Missouri for 6, and then 1 out of Kentucky for 7. That does some pretty significant damage to the anti-suffrage movement there. So although we used militant tactics and racist strategies to win the suffrage cause, oh, I feel so guilty, but it was pretty effective. Autobot is up. Xenophobia. Oh, actually, this isn't. Oh, this is not good. Wow, this is nasty. Xenophobia. Rampant anti-immigrant sentiment swept across America around the turn of the century, influencing the opposition and supporters of women's suffrage. Remove all the yellow from the 2 states with the most yellow. Remove all the purple from the 2 states with the most purple. Anti-suffrage movement getting nasty here. This is painful. So if we start with the purple, the white supremacy movement removed all the support, the yellow support from Texas and Georgia. Now, Texas and Georgia also have the most purple support, which clears out Georgia. Again, such a battleground, and clears out Texas. Ouch, that's painful. Now, fortunately, we had that yellow hit before this, but we still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 states with yellow. I'll determine some die rolls to pick the 2 that are randomly determined for that. All right, so I rolled some dice and it came to California and Utah, which doesn't help us because we don't have that West card anymore. Things decidedly taking a nasty turn here with the Autobot playing hardball, wiping out a lot of our support. So, okay, that's the end of turn 3. Let's go to turn 4. So actually, it's about a week later since I recorded the last episode. Life kind of got in the way, but in that time, I've had a little bit of chance to reflect on this Southern strategy card. So before we go to round 4 of turn 3, I just want to mention that it's become apparent to me. I thought Southern strategy means just we were focusing on Southern states, but from kind of reflecting on the descriptive text here, it's a lot more than that. This is actually appealing to racist lawmakers in order to advance the women's suffrage cause. So this is kind of a morally bankrupt card that we've played here, and it's very powerful. At the very least, it probably makes sense to not play it before the Autobot played that white supremacy in the suffrage movement card, but it would be nice to try to play the game without having to put this morally dubious card into play. So I'll mention more of this in the final review, but I wanted to just talk a little bit about that before we go to our next round. So we've got 3 cards left to play in this round. I think we're going to go to Jeanette Rankin. Rankin was the first woman to hold federal office in the United States, elected in 1916 to represent Montana in Congress. Roll a 6-sided die. On a 3 to 6, add 1 national congressional support and 4 in Montana and 2 in each other state in the Plains region, which will help us get some base there. Let's roll now for this, hoping for a 3, 4, 5, or 6. A 5. Excellent. Okay, let's put this in effect. Boom. We've got 5 out of 6 national support we want. One thing I'm thinking though here, there are a number of Autobot cards that kind of remove national support or do something else. And I'm thinking we might actually, because we're kind of poised to get national support pretty easily in the 3rd turn, I might actually leave us 1 short and let the Autobot play out some of its deleterious effects on the national support, figuring that we're going to be able to get it in maybe turn 4 or 5. And that it's better to have the Autobot focused on this right now than on kind of reducing our support across the country for suffrage. So I think I'm going to let us sit here, if I can, for a little while. So Rankin's support adds 4 to Montana, which gives us 8 up here in Montana, looking pretty good. This will also make it nice if we get any more of those cards that say reduce all the yellows in one state, because we can take the hit there and we're still going to be okay. I'll add 2 each to the other Plains states now and get this sorted out. Alrighty, looking pretty good here. Now again, we need to get to 4 and they only lock in once we've got national support locked in, but our situation right now in the Plains states looking pretty good with 2 support in each, 3 in North Dakota and 8 in Montana. Let's see what the Autobot has in store for its nastiness. The SSWSC, the Southern States Women's Suffrage Conference, supported votes for white women only and opposed to federal amendment dividing the movement. Play if the Southern strategy is in effect. Again, that Southern strategy hurting us here. Add 1 support cube in each state in the South region. I am so regretting playing that Southern strategy card. That's twice we've been hit hard by this. I think it's wiped out all the benefits. Note to future self, don't be morally bankrupt in this game. So 1 in each state in the southern region. Texas takes 1. Arkansas loses 1. It makes sense for the Autobot to take the yellow one from Louisiana here. We'll take the blue there, the yellow there. We'll add a red one in Georgia, remove the support from Florida and South Carolina. What a mess the Southern strategy has turned out to be for us here. We're getting our due rewards for kind of, sleeping with racism, if you might want to call it that way. The South has gone from looking really good to being a total mess again. Alrighty, I think we're just going to very quickly here play this club movement, which gets us 4 buttons. That's going to be a card I think we're going to want to play that way it is. So we'll put that one out of play. We will pick up 4 buttons. Easy turn. That gives us 9 now buttons altogether. That puts us in good place to bid for the next turn. Let's go to the Autobot's turn. Autobot is up. Oh, save us, senators, from ourselves. Add 1 red cube in 1 state of each region. Working women against suffrage confused some officials, but the opposition used suffragist tactics like circulating petitions and giving speeches. So I believe this is random. I'll double check on this and then we'll move it in play. So this card doesn't specify a state in each region, so and none of the states are decided, which would impact that too. So we're just going to roll an 8-sided die and put a red cube in each region. So for example, if we do the West, we get a 6, which means it goes into Utah. We're going to remove 1 of our support there. I will do the other states and then talk about where they ended up. So we got Wyoming, Texas, which now has 2 Autobot support. Indiana was the other one, I believe. Then we went to Maryland and New Jersey, both of which we had support and currently lost it. So that ends the Autobot turn. Let's go to round 6, our final round of this turn. So with our final round of turn 3, we're going to play Boxcar's Helen Keller. I've been really lucky when I've used her before. Roll 2 6-sided dice, add that number of support cubes anywhere, no more than 2 per state. I think we can help gain support in the South and then the West a little bit here with this. Best known as a hero for the disability community, Keller was also a radical socialist and supported women's suffrage in speeches and processions. I've had really good luck when I've played this before. Let's see how she does. 6 and a 1, she got 1 6. 7 is average, we'll take it. We won't use a button to re-roll that one. We'll put those 7 cubes up on the board. All right, we're gonna take the 2 away from Texas. I don't wanna lose Texas. We're gonna take 1 away from Georgia. We are going to add 1 to Arizona and New Mexico. That's 5. And then let's, we can't put any more in Texas, but we could put another one in Georgia. Let's put 1 in Georgia, 6. And then let's concentrate on Maryland again for 7. So Helen Keller helps us out. Let's see how the Oppobot deals with this in this last part here. Senator John Weeks. All right, play if there is at least 1 support in Congress. There is. Remove 1 support from Congress and add 2 in New Hampshire. This is a case here where I would rather have this card taking away 1 of the support here because I think we can still get national support. So we're going to pull 1 off there and then we're going to add 2 to New Hampshire. So New Hampshire had 1 yellow, we'll remove that and add a red. Now I would rather get that, right, than the campaigning one, because the campaigning one would be added a 12-sided result, 1 to 4 for each of the campaigners, which would give them actually kind of an average of almost 6 cubes back up on the board. So I think because I feel like we're in a good place with national support, it's better to have the Oppobot focusing on that than removing more cubes from the nationals, from the statewide support. And with that, we come to the end of turn 3. I was thinking to continue on now to play turn 4, but with this video being a little bit over 20 minutes, I want to try to keep them 20 to 30 minutes, and I think I'm going to try to continue on with faster episodes now that I'm back making videos, and we'll do 1 turn per video. That'll make them about 20 minutes, which is a really nice length, and I should be able to produce them pretty quickly too. So with that, we will end turn 3 here, taking a look at the national level. The West is looking good, if not weak. Plains, again, looking pretty good, but still needs a lot of support. Midwest looking good, if not weak. Southern states, again, we've removed all the anti-suffrage support, but it's not very strong yet. We really need more support in each of these regions if we're going to try to get to 4 support cubes, enough to kind of pass suffrage in each of these states. And then the Appalachia and Atlantic, good except for Kentucky, which we're kind of sacrificing here. But again, we don't have much support there. Northeast, again, looking good, but weak. So we have a lot of work to do. Although I feel pretty good about how much of anti-suffrage support we've put out, we need a lot more support in order to be able to kind of move forward. And again, I'm kind of kicking myself for that Southern strategy, as well as for the misfortune of drawing 2 really powerful cards that allowed us to miss that support in the West card. So I feel like we're going to really have a lot of work to do out here. But let me know what you think. Look forward to reading your comments down below. I should be back in a couple days with turn 4. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great day.